Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? Sammy and I People's TV. It's Tuesday. There's what? There's 5.5 days left until the January transfer window closes. Man United have needed this to be a busy January. Man United have wanted this to be a busy January. Thus far, it's not happened. We're going to run through... Today's going to be like a transfer special show. We're going to focus completely on the transfers. Speak about the latest on the bid for Dorgu. I'm pretty confident that deal will go through. I'll bring you the latest from Fabrizio Romano and what they're saying out in Italy. Also, the latest on Alvaro Fernandez being what I consider a backup option there. Not sure that's going to make Alvaro Fernandez feel very good. But also the latest on Rashford. Again, we're having a conversation about Rashford. It won't be too long a conversation because, like the overlap said this morning, I think a lot of people were kind of annoyed how much time you end up spending talking about Marcus Rashford compared to everyone else. We'll speak about Garnacho, Casemiro, Christopher Nkunku, Aiden Heaven from Arsenal. I still think it's going to be a busy end to the window, but I mean, I could be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time. Let's be totally honest. Let me see who is here from the mod and the member gang. Say hello, and then we'll get started with the show. Stephanie, good morning to you, and you're there as well. And Josh, Carl, I saw you at the start of the show. Good morning to all the mods who hopefully make the chat a better place. I like to think that the chat is a place where you feel like you can come in, actually get your opinion heard, and I try to read as many out as I possibly can. I know I don't read everyone's, and people do think that, oh, Sam, you've got preferences. Well, yeah, if you're a member, you will get a preference. That's part of the perks of being a United People's TV member. But speaking of members, good morning to you, David. We've got Kevin, Lyle, we've got Dara, Bully, we've got Volpez, we've got Chris, Ricky, and Akash, and lots more. Thank you all for tuning in. Please do get involved. Let's get into the show. Anybody else see this video yesterday? I thought it was a class little video, man. Ruben Amorim on his birthday. I'm guessing it was on his birthday. Was this recorded yesterday? I kind of think it was, but I don't actually know. Working alongside the Manchester United Foundation, going and visiting Primrose Hill Primary School, and just giving the kids just something they're going to remember. They were all told to do homework, which was write down questions that you would ask the Manchester United manager. And then he walks in and having a great time. Somebody asked him the obvious questions: did you bring your big coat with you? Man, kids are funny, man. It can be funny. It can be very annoying at times. It can also be funny. But it was a class little video. I enjoyed it. That's it. That's all I want to say about it. And on the flip side to enjoyment is, I know that Paul Pogba's just doing what he knows how to do, just to sort of spark up conversation. That's what I would describe this as. Yesterday on Instagram, little photo of him and Ahmad, and then another photo saying, where is it? To there? Let's see what's coming. And I was sitting there going, am I really going to be... No, good. Okay, right. So it was just like a little tiny brief wave of, oh yeah, bring Paul Pogba back for 6 months, free transfer, blah, 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 blah. Nope. End the conversation. Let's move on. And I'm glad that didn't even get any sort of... Look, Volpez, I even saw your message yesterday saying 6 months pay as you play, I'll be all over it. No, man. Don't go back to your ex. But especially don't go back to your ex twice. All right? I don't care if he's free. I don't care if it'll be a pay as you play. Sod that. Move forward. Good luck elsewhere, Paul Pogba. Nil point. Not for me. And there's a little random little story here. I haven't heard of this lad before. Bazimana Toure from Hammarby IF in the Swedish league from Stockholm. And I just saw this and I just kind of went, with the price, Hoffenheim are going to be signing him for 14 million euros. So even Hoffenheim, I don't know the right way to describe this, I suppose. I think I was kind of surprised at the fact that Hoffenheim had the money to pay 14 million euros for an 18-year-old who's just kind of breaking through into the Swedish top division. And also that Hammarby are able to get a price like that. I think it just... I don't know how much money other teams in the top 4 leagues have, because I think it was it last summer or the summer before, where the Premier League spend was so much that it totaled all the spend in Serie A, La Liga, and the Bundesliga together. And I don't know whether that's still the case. That's just kind of how expensive players are getting and how expensive signings are. And we're going to move on to speak about Patrick Dorgu next, because I think it kind of falls into that category. Edgar, good morning to you, dude. Say, morning, Sam. You have become my morning routine over here in Chicago. Work the night shift, and when 4 a.m. comes around, it's time for United People's TV. Well, big up to you, Edgar. I've never worked a night shift in my life, but I imagine they're grim. Obviously, you get the benefits of being off during the day, and then you're sleeping all day because you're absolutely knackered. So fair play to anybody who does night shifts. Some are needed for, well, the world goes round, right? Big up to you, Edgar. Thank you for tuning in from Chicago. Never been to Chicago. I bet it's cold AF there, right? Now let's speak about the most likely, here we go, that we are going to get. If we're looking, I'll be completely honest with you, I haven't updated the transfer whiteboards today because I need to give myself more time in the morning. I really, really do. And I gave myself loads of time, but it's never quite enough. The only signing that we have been really consistently linked with in January has been Patrick Dorgu. You could go back and have a conversation around Nuno Mendes if you want from PSG. Or what other links were there at the start of the window? I can't really think of that many other ones. Patrick Dorgu is the one that has consistently been linked. Well, I say consistently. It was only on the 20th of January that David Ornstein said Man United are in talks with Lecce over a deal for him, which kind of it makes us all a bit frustrated because our problems existed at the start of January. And here we are now. There you go. There's one that was linked. Kolo Muani. That was definitely a link that gathered some pace. And then with the Muani situation, Juventus sort of jumped the gun. Juventus went there first, and I think they're paying 100% of his wages, if I remember correctly. Alphonso Davies, I wouldn't say was particularly linked that much. What other names are we throwing in down here? Kirkes. The Kirkes never really happened. Nene Dorgeles is a fair one. The Malian winger from Salzburg, Red Bull Salzburg. Nothing's really gone too... It's basically Patrick Dorgu right now. I'm still hopeful that there is going to be an attacking signing, and I'll speak about that a little bit later. But just the latest on the Patrick Dorgu situation from Fabrizio Romano, who, by the way, tweeted updates 3 times during the night on Dorgu. This guy knows how to squeeze the juice out of a transfer. That is for sure. Anyway, Fabrizio reporting yesterday that United's new official bid for Dorgu will be submitted in the next 24 to 48 hours. Positive talks with Lecce today. And the add-on structure will be crucial, which it kind of always has been the whole way through. If you look back to the first bid that United put in for Dorgu, it was 25 million euros plus 5 million euros in add-ons. Lecce said no. They wanted 40 million in total. There was a 10 million gap. And here we are. Now, look, Manchester United feel they can get the Dorgu deal agreed in the next 24 to 48 hours. I'm not really sure what update that is from that situation. But anyway. And then this is just emojis. So it's 3 tweets saying the exact same thing. Or which is this? That the new bid for Dorgu is going to be going in today or tomorrow. And if you're looking at sort of whispers from Italy, they're suggesting that that bid is going to be far closer to the 34 million pounds that Lecce want. ETJ saying, is Dorgu really a good player? I've already done a top-level profile video of Dorgu, and once the deal is agreed, I'll release the much more in-depth one. He ticks a lot of boxes for what we need and what we don't currently have. If you look at weaknesses inside this squad and you're looking at, well, the whole left flank, well, tick, there you go. You're looking at the athleticism, you're looking at the ability, not just with the ball, but without the ball, the ability to actually do that for 90 minutes and the ability to actually do that maybe twice a week. There's a lot that he will tick. Is he raw? Yes, he's 20. Is he completely polished? Absolutely not. Does he have weaknesses? Of course he does. But you're not going to find a 20-year-old footballer, unless he's like a unicorn, who is completely developed. I think 40 million euros is a lot of money. I think it's way overpriced for who Dorgu is and where he is in his career, and also the position that Lecce are in, selling him. As I said, that they're 1 point off the relegation zone. He's only been there for, I think his second full season. He's got potential, but no, he's not a 40 million euro player. And that is where United have, I think anyway, and I only think this is going to sort of make Alvaro Fernandez look at United even sort of from a more negative perspective, if I'm being totally honest, is this, right? Now, we've all known all January long, so have United, that Alvaro Fernandez is sitting there and it's 18 million euros. It's a buyback clause, and we've got it right there. The fact that United aren't just walking over to Benfica, paying the 18 million, shaking their hand, and moving Alvaro Fernandez back, tells you that's not their main target. Tells you they think the profile of Dorgu is better than the profile of Alvaro Fernandez. And if you're talking about the differences in their game, I think you're probably looking at the athletic perspective. And that really is kind of a correct obsession, if I'm being totally honest, when it comes to what Ruben Amorim is looking at this squad and going, there's only so far you can take it. There's only so much you could push and improve these players. Aaron, maybe. Maybe Alvaro's already told United no. You can see down there that sources close to him currently say they are not considering a move in this market. And why would he be? He's just won the League Cup. They're in a title push this season. They're in the Champions League. I don't know where they are in the actual Champions League. Let's find out what happens. Famous last words and all that. I'm very confident that United will have a new left wing back come the 4th of February. So in a week's time, when we're having this live show, because the transfer window closes at 11 p.m. on, I believe, Monday the 3rd of Feb. So we'll be here, and I'll be amazed and also pissed off if we don't have a new left wing back. Now, Alex, you're going down there saying United tax is crazy. If I remember correctly, I haven't got the tweets to show this or the evidence, but I believe that Lecce were quoting a very similar price for Dorgu before the United interest came in. I think it's just a price that they have put on Dorgu rather than it being United tax. And we're still going through that. We're going through that phase now where after years of overpaying, after years of being crap in negotiations, we want and need clubs to see us differently at the negotiation table. And that's kind of exactly where we're at here with Dorgu. I'm trying to think of the deals that we got done in the summer. The Lenny Yoro one was, well, we paid an above market price to make sure Real Madrid couldn't come in. We convinced him, he joined. Manuel Ugarte, I think, was £42 million, which I think all United fans feel that's a pretty decent deal that was done. De Ligt, I remember there was a massive amount of to and fro over the price, and United eventually signed him for the price we wanted, and we also got Mazraoui for 12 million, didn't we? And again, Mazraoui is going to be the biggest value signing of the summer. Still one of, for sure. And then who else did we sign? Can't remember who else we signed. It's, Foxy, we do typically overpay And if United were to pay 40 million for Dorgu, it's a massive overpayment. I don't really think there would have been too many United fans too angry if we had signed him for 30 million euros. So if we go somewhere in between, and that's obviously the best where the compromise has always been, the 35 million euros, right slap bang in the middle. I'm hoping it's United paying 30 million euros up front and 5 million, but I'm not talking about easy add-ons. Oh, after Patrick Dorgu has made 20 appearances for the club, you get an extra 5 million. I want it to be longer than that. When Manchester United win some silverware, blah, blah, blah. It should be 30 million euros up front and 5 million in difficult add-ons. That, therefore, is that compromise in the middle. And it's a bit like the Mason Mount situation. And obviously, the Mason Mount transfer has not worked out anyway. But, after it got reported that Man United paid, 60 million for Mason Mount, whereas in reality it was 50, but it would go up to 60 or something like that. I don't know the exact figures. It would go up to that if we won the Premier League. And I don't think there'd be any United fan that would be pissed off if we paid Chelsea an extra 5-10 million if we won the league, because it means that the Mount signing has worked out. It's kind of a bit like the wage structure that has to change. United players should be paid less as a base salary and more in incentive-based salary. You'll get 100 grand just as a standard salary, but if United win the league, it'll go up to 150. Incentivize the players to want to earn those bonuses. Better for the club, because then you only pay out more when the club is successful. And the exact same thing as add-ons and putting it as more sort of not just easily attainable add-ons. What else is he saying down here? Remember when we used to find hidden gems for next to nothing, says Alex. I do think that we'll find more of those in the coming transfer windows. Whether that's Diego Leon from Cerro Porteño. I'm excited about. It's one thing that those sorts of signings will always have. They will always carry an air of excitement because you just don't know. You just don't know. Nick, you're saying the Italian league is different. Xerxes looked like a gazelle in the Italian league last season. Well, he was Bologna's youngest player of the season. Why is it that it can't just be the pace of the Premier League? That Xerxes struggling so much, that Højlund's massively regressed from last season. It's not just about pace. Is it space on the ball that you don't get? Either way, there's a lot of players that struggled. And look, Dorgu may be another one that struggles for the second half of the season. You don't know. Realistically, he probably will. Akash, I saw you earlier saying, Sam, don't shoot me, but I don't think that a left wing-back signing is going to be transforming our team. Yeah, I would kind of disagree. I'm not saying about complete transformation, but in terms of the actual balance of the build-up, of the shape of our team, having a natural left-footed player to play alongside Lisandro Martinez down that side, somebody who can cover in those spaces in behind. Do you remember when we signed Tyrell Malacia? He was playing as a left-back. And anytime he got caught going forward, he was such an athlete that his ability to recover was insane. I think that's where Dorgu is going to come in, for sure, in helping cover that space. It will make a big old difference on that left-hand side. There's more that's needed, but Dorgu would come in and make a difference. Someone's saying that already with the negative predictions. There's no negative prediction about that at all. In fact, I'm trying to temper it. I'm saying that by the judgment of how I've seen so many players come into my football club and struggle at Manchester United, don't all look at Patrick Dorgu, if or when we sign him, and say, right, well, you cost X amount of money, so you should be making an immediate difference to this, and this. Whereas in reality, it takes players time to adjust to United. It takes players to... Now, some come in straight away, boom. Mazraoui, for example. One of the first times in a long time I've seen a player just come into United and just look like they played for United for a while. Dorgu's 20. Be moving to a new country, speaking a different language, mid-season, when United are bottom half of the table. You're going to have to completely give him until the end of the season and then judge him at the start of next season. Anyway, let's find out. I'll be amazed. Rob, you're saying down there, if you sign a left wing back, would you send Malacia out on loan? Yeah, I would. Absolutely. Next season, Luke Shaw and Tyrone Malacia will not be Manchester United players. They'll both get a handshake. They won't be pushed out the door, but it'll be like, appreciate your time that you spent with the club, lads. Due to sort of, injuries and everything, you wouldn't say that, but the club is moving forward in a different direction. I hope you can appreciate that. I've enjoyed having you at the club. Wish you the absolute very best wherever you go, but good luck, handshake, move on. Luke Shaw and Tyrone Malacia. What you should be seeing, and it may well be the case that this is what happens. It could be that Shaw and Malacia are moved on, and Dorgu and Diego Leon come in. And that's a complete straight replacement on that left flank for, in total, somewhere in the region of 30 to 40 million. Which I think would be pretty good value. If Man United can get 2 left backs or left wing backs for less than 40 million overall, I don't think there'll be anybody complaining about the prices of those. Of course, a massive unknown of what Diego Leon will do when he comes in. Can he conceivably, as an 18-year-old, come in and settle himself even in a squad position at United? Not sure. We'd find out in pre-season. Could happen, though. Right? I can see lots of you speaking about Casemiro. Casemiro's coming a little bit later in the show. And I've already got that news covered. But who should we speak about next week? Well, geez. Right. I'm only going to briefly speak about Marcus Rashford in this show because I get the feeling that a lot of United fans are sort of, feels like you're kind of up to there in terms of speaking about Rashford, because what else can we possibly say that hasn't already been said? I think I saw earlier that Rashford's now been left out of 11 matchday squads. Is that the case? I haven't actually done the exact numbers, but that's mad. Volpez, you're asking about Shaw's wages. It's definitely north of 150. I don't know exactly what it is. And I'll actually speak about wages a little bit later in the show. But Shaw and Malacia leaving the club, bringing in Dorgu and Leon. Leon, by the way, you'd save an absolute ton on the wages of those two compared. And you'd also bring in 2 athletes. Two players who massively raise the physical floor of the squad and hopefully the technical floor. But Rashford, right? I did the video yesterday, and I saw this article from Jason Burt, and that was my reaction. Is like, Ruben Amorim has humiliated Marcus Rashford and lost ground in their power struggle. I think it really is a case of, in pretty much any position of power, no matter what that may be, it's always going to be a case of damned if you do and damned if you don't. Shax, I saw you gifting 5 memberships down there, by the way. I didn't miss that. And Jordan, thank you for gifting a membership to Emmanuel. You're now best buds. I couldn't really disagree anymore. We go over here, and now this is also a fair point. And I think this is where anybody may have justification for saying that Ruben Amorim, it may have been best not to say that, is the idea that it takes a little bit of power away from United's ability to negotiate a deal for him in terms of getting his wages covered. Because now that Amorim said that, other clubs, well, they're going to have more fears about how Rashford trains. Now, I'm not sure if you've seen the latest episode of The Overlap. Went out a couple of hours ago, and I listened to the part on Rashford. And Scholes was talking about how when he went in and told Fergie that he wanted to leave, or he was ready to not play for United, it was only after when he told him that Fergie came back to him the next day and said it was actually your teammates that you let down by saying that. And it's something that Scholes was saying that Marcus Rashford has done this whole time. By coming out and saying that he's ready for a new challenge, he's saying, well, he has to be banished from the dressing room. it was quite an interesting take from Paul Scholes. And I just wanted to pull up this bit here from Jamie Carragher, because I said the exact thing in my podcast this morning that I released.
I just think it's very simple, mate. You know, if I knew Marcus, I'd just say, listen, go into training, be early, do your work, train, there's nothing else, there's no other answer to all these games, and he said this, and the agent said that, and Amarin said this, and all this, it's all bullshit.
I couldn't put it any better than that, all right? And I've already used this comparison before, and I will say it again to anybody who's trying to, like Jason Burt, say that he's humiliated Marcus Rashford and he's lost ground in their power struggle. It's like, well, Jason, there were 2 players who were dropped from the squad against City. One of them, Marcus Rashford, did an interview 48 hours later saying that he's ready for a new challenge. The other one, Garnacho, didn't do anything. Both of them are probably being encouraged towards the exit door by the club, so both in a similar position in that sense. Garnacho's put his head down. Garnacho's been in the squad for the last 2 games. And that is what I keep saying when I reiterate it's not personal with Rashford. It's expectations on the club and every single player. Garnacho's proven himself, worked hard, impressed the manager, head coach, come back into the squad. Rashford hasn't. For 11 games. Like, he doesn't care anymore. He doesn't fancy it, doesn't want it. And that's why, like Jamie Carragher there saying, and people, Rio Ferdinand and quite a lot of people saying that it's game over for Marcus Rashford. There's no way back. And I totally disagree. If Rashford doesn't get his move away, and I think, what would you put the percentage down as now? In fact, let me just ask you. Let's see if the poll has changed. Do you think Rashford leaves in January? Because when we had this last time, I think it was around about the 50% mark. It's like, do you think Rashford will find a new club now? We've got just under, just under 6 days left. Barcelona is the club that Rashford wants. They just won 7-1 at the weekend, so they're not exactly struggling for attackers. Eric Garcia's not leaving now. Ansu Fati's not leaving, so they need to find other ways. I think they can financially afford him, but I don't know if they need him, and I don't know if they want him. Borussia Dortmund has never really been an interested party. AC Milan, like looking at AC Milan. AC Milan wanted Rashford. They were in talks. Rashford demanded too much to the point where they signed Kyle Walker instead. And how much money must Kyle Walker be on? He must be on an absolute ton from City. But even he's cheap compared to Rashford. They've now signed Kyle Walker. They can't sign anybody else from England in this transfer window because of rules on foreign players playing in Serie A. So AC Milan's gone and Rashford has got rid of that chance himself. I've seen West Ham linked. I've seen just... Rashford has got rid of a lot of his own options by his own choices, by his own demands, and that's been his priority. I told you, if playing football was the priority for Rashford, he would have taken quite a big wage cut to go somewhere else. I can see down there in the poll, we've got 400 votes in there, and 62% of you now think that Rashford stays. And honestly, I think that's where I'm at. Now, of course, that comes with its own problems for the second half of the season. But I will reiterate what my opinion is on that. If Rashford does stay, and Rashford comes back in on the 4th of February, and he goes, you know what? Fuck it. The move didn't happen. I wanted it to happen. Fresh start. The club made it clear they wanted it to happen. Amarim did, but I respect Amarim. I love United as a club. Let me just keep my head down now. The only way I'm getting back into the England squad now is if I absolutely nail it at United. It's my only option. It's my only choice in front of me. So then if he trains like a demon, like Jamie Carragher suggests, then I guarantee you, well, I can't guarantee you, that's a wrong way to describe it. I think Rashford comes back into the squad, and who's to say that Rashford couldn't have a second half of the season, which is very different to the first one. Brad's saying Rashford's getting shafted like Sancho, and it's like, come on, man. You really think that those are comparable situations? One in Jadon Sancho calling his manager a liar, getting asked to apologise, and saying no, so he got frozen out. Until you come and say, sorry, and it was pride. The reason that Sancho sat on the outside was pride. Hell no, I'm not saying sorry to Erik ten Hag. I'm not in the wrong. I'm right. Sit on the sideline then, dude. Fine. Rashford, it's always been about training application. If you put yourself into training properly, you'll come back into the squad. You'll come back into the frame. It's got nothing to do with the Sancho situation. They are so totally incomparable. I think maybe you could compare it to the Ten Hag and the Ronaldo situation a little bit more if you wanted to, but certainly not. It's Jadon Sancho, all right? There we go. We got a Here We Go live on the show. It's not the Here We Go that we were hoping for. Wow, that's a bit unfair, actually. It's not a first-team signing. I was going to speak about this lad a little bit later, but we'll speak about him now. 1 second there. Right. Aiden Heaven. We got Here We Go from Fabrizio Romano. Exclusive story from last week. Confirmed as the 18-year-old centre-back is set to leave Arsenal and join United. Medical is now booked after he rejected a new deal from Arsenal and Eintracht Frankfurt approaches. The agreement is being formally sealed. Aiden Heaven now follows in the footsteps of Chido Obi Martin in rejecting a new deal from Arsenal and United going in there and being able to agree terms and bring him in. Man, Arsenal are going to be pissed. They really are going to be pissed. I'm going to do a lot more research on Aiden Heaven now that the story has been confirmed. But as far as I'm aware, he's a left-sided centre-back. And it seems to be a sort of repeating pattern. You've got Godwill Kakonki, who's coming through. That whole left-hand side, if you're looking at the area, the side of the pitch that Amorim wants to transform, it's definitely that left-hand side. But yeah, Arsenal are going to be pissed. That's 2 academy graduates that we have managed to sign. So Aiden Heaven's contract expired, his scholarship contract expired in June. So, John, you're saying that United have to pay anything to Arsenal? Yes, you have to pay what I believe is like scholarship fees. You effectively pay part of the education and the time that Arsenal have spent in helping Aiden Heaven become the player he is today. But you won't have to pay sort of mega transfer fees or anything like that. Someone down there saying, can he go to left wing back? Let's not speak about positions. And when it comes to academy players, I don't really think you should. I don't really think you should be putting them into sort of particular positions. No? Okay. Well, this is Finn from Academy Scoop, who, to be fair to him, he's got some pretty damn decent sources when it comes to academy news. He's actually disagreeing with what I've said there. Heaven is considered a first-team signing and will provide competition and cover for Lisandro Martinez. Well, my response and reaction to that would be, well, where does that leave Godwill Kakonki, who I thought was being sort of trained and coming into that environment? I don't know. It's very likely that Aiden Heaven is going to become somebody who needs time to adapt, time to come in and get used to it. But we'll find out. He did make his Arsenal debut this season, though, for Arsenal against Preston in the League Cup. So that's a signing confirmed. I'll have to update the boards. So, yeah, someone saying, what about Kakonki down there? We'll find. I know Kakonki is 16. So he's 2 years younger than him, which is kind of a fair remark. We'll find out, all right? We'll find out probably from Ruben Amorim. We'll see if he's involved in first-team training. Maybe he'll go into the squad. Actually, no, he won't go into the squad for the game against FCSB because I think we fly out tomorrow. But Crystal Palace at the weekend. We'll find out. this is United. This will be the focus of United's transfers for a good few years, is trying to find, and just about what we were talking about, why is it that United can't find these gems anymore? Well, that's Diego Leon that we've signed, a month and a bit ago, 17-year-old from Paraguay who's going to be turning 18 and joining in the preseason. You've now got Heaven, who's being signed as an 18-year-old. According to Finn, he's going to come in and be backup competition for Lisandro Martinez in that left-sided centre-back position. And then you've got other players that we're linked with, whether it was Nelly Dorgeles from Red Bull Salzburg. We'll find out. But here we go. First one of the January transfer window. And let's see if he is in the squad to face, I don't know, Leicester in the FA Cup. We'll find it. Who's calling Diego Leon a gem? I didn't call Diego Leon a gem. I was just speaking about him. Samuel Lascelles, thank you very much. We signed him from Crystal Palace. Not sure how he's been getting on, actually. James Overy was another one that we brought in. I think he was signed from... Was it Perth in Australia? He's definitely Australian. That was a fullback signing. We signed Obi Martin and still nothing. Of course, Lenny Yoro in the summer. It's a clear... I've already done like 1 or 2 videos on this. It's a really clear and obvious shift in strategy and direction from the club. And there's going to be more of them. Will they all work out? Nope. Is there less of an £80 million risk being held above their head if they don't work out? Correct. It's going to be a far more sustainable way to build a squad over the... If we look at Manchester United right now as... Where are we? We're going in towards the second summer of this, 4-year plan? 5-year plan? So we've got another 3 windows. It's going to take United 2 to 3 really good summers in succession to build an actual squad worthy of what we need it to be. But anyway, we finished talking about Rashford. Now let's speak about Garnacho. Of course, there are loads of other youngsters in the squad. Yeah, Ibrahimov, Shea Lacey, Bendito Mantato's come back in. You've got James Scanlon, who's a little bit older. But Garnacho, right? I feel pretty happy that the Garnacho talk has kind of gone down a little bit. If I go back to the poll, by the way, 900 votes have come in, and 58% of you don't think Rashford leaves in January. I actually think that's where I would personally be right now. Dan, you're saying, I see despondency in Rashford. I believe he cared and tried and can't figure out how to develop at United. I wish he'd change his entourage and gain some humility. Yeah, I do. You know, when it comes to one last, because I think that's a pretty good comment there. One thing when it comes to improving yourself, just in anything you're doing in life, you can get better nutrition, you can get better sleep, you can get better fitness, better activity. But you've also kind of got to improve everything around what you're trying to improve for. So your lifestyle, and maybe the people that you hang around with, and maybe the hobbies that you get up to, and maybe what you do away from work. All of these things all link back into it. And yeah, I think unfortunately for Rashford, he's put himself in a position in his career, and always has done, that family is so involved in it that it blurs the lines between business and family. And then it's very, very difficult. Even if Rashford was sitting there thinking, is my brother Dwayne the best person to represent me now? It's a very difficult situation for him to get out of. Even if he thought that, and I'm just speaking in a completely hypothetical way, because he may well still be very happy with him. Not really sure why. But Alejandro Garnacho, you've seen, I thought that Adeyemi from Dortmund was going to... I thought that Adeyemi from Dortmund was going to Napoli to replace Kvaratskhelia. Nothing's really happened there. You're hearing this yesterday from Sky Sports that Napoli are set to resume talks for him. But this is from The Athletic this morning, saying most noise in recent days is centred around Chelsea signing Garnacho, but nothing has progressed beyond interest at this juncture. So right now, and I hope this is the case, Garnacho is staying at United. I understand. You can say that, in fact, you go as far as to say you could probably say about every single Manchester United player. And having concerns about that. I wouldn't have those concerns about Kobbie Mainoo, personally. I wouldn't have those concerns about Lenny Yoro. I'd have it about 95% of the squad. I don't think Garnacho should be sold in January, or the idea of him being sold should even be entertained. That's a summer conversation. In a summer, fine, I'm open for it. But not now. Not with the squad that we've got, not with the attackers that we don't have, to get rid of another one. It always felt strange to me. So I really do hope that Garnacho does stay. And I think he's sort of, I think he's clearly impressed Amrim. He's clearly impressed him to the point where he's back in the squad. So he's working right in training. Conor Riley, you're sort of having a go at Jason Burt there, saying Gareth Southgate does this. Burt, what a leader. It was a weird article to do, man. It really was. Rex, you're saying the cynic in me is thinking this is Rashford's mindset. I can go to a club and play ball, but if I just sit here and collect wages at United, it's fine by me. I mean, that's what it looks like right now. Ian, you're saying it's about Rashford being greedy and lazy. He needs to leave. It's not. It's just that Rashford's priorities are not what your priorities are. And that's where the clash is. But right now, I'm happy to say that it looks like Garnacho is going to be staying. Town Clear, you're asking about Aiden Heaven, whether he's been confirmed. We just got the Here We Go. There's a fair amount of Here We Goes that we've got live on the show now. I got live at the right time, right? Come on. Fingers crossed, Aiden Heaven is as much of an exciting defensive prospect as Chido Obi Martin was. Of course, he was a record-breaking goal scorer at under-18s level. Aiden Heaven. Maybe we'll do a video on him at lunch. Should I do a video on him at lunchtime today? Maybe I should. I was going to do a video on the Ratcliffe confrontation, but maybe I'll do one on Aiden Heaven. We'll figure it out. Let's move on to the next conversation, and this is something I'm going to use the word. I'm desperate for this to happen, man. Casemiro has been... He's not been frozen out in the same way that Marcus Rashford has. But he's been frozen out. Casemiro is fifth choice at his football club now. He's behind Mainoo, Ugarte, he's behind Eriksen, and now he's behind Toby Collier. He is fifth choice central midfielder at this club on north of 300 grand a week. I'm desperate for... I don't hold any grudges against Casemiro. But like Casemiro sums up, and I said it at the time, and it's not Captain Hindsight speaking here. I don't know why I got my fists up. Casemiro was always a short-term signing. He gave you that adrenaline boost, that dopamine hit of that first season when he sort of settled in and he just became fantastic. And then Ten Hag switched the system, tried to ask him to play in an isolated number 6 position like he did at Real Madrid. And yeah, his body collapsed. I don't begrudge Casemiro for that. It's just United making incredibly short-term signings that might work for a year and then don't work. That's what happens when you've got no vision. We did want Frankie de Jong. Now, you're seeing this from Laurie Whitwell saying, look, United would like to remove Casemiro's salary and his place behind Toby Collier in the midfield pecking order is now established, but any inquiries for him are not thought to be meaningful at this stage. Now, there's whispers and suggestions from Sky Sports, from Melissa Reddy, from Sky Italia, that Roma are interested in Casemiro. Now, I ain't got no idea about Roma's wage bill. But presumably, Casemiro would be a very similar situation to what United would have to do if we find a club for Rashford. And we'd have to pay at least half of his wages. Someone's down there saying Casemiro is a Glazer Woodward type. He's not physically a Glazer Woodward style signing, but he absolutely is. It was John Murtough absolutely clapping his pants. Don't know what that accent was. That was awful. I'm pretty good at accents. I don't know why I seem to mess them up on a live show. Anyway, John Murto crapping his pants after we couldn't sign Frankie de Jong. Didn't Real Madrid just sign Tchouaméni? Yeah, should we see if yeah, go on in. 70 million. Real Madrid must have been laughing, like hysterically, when they got that call from United offering 70 mil for Casemiro. Because everybody could see the short termness of that signing. But anyway, Casemiro, we're seeing whispers and reports suggesting that Casemiro could be going to Roma. Let's find out. I'm very decent at accents. I just seem to, my arse falls out when I do it live on a stream. Right, let's see anything else I'm missing. Right. Right now, this lad, I say lad, he's 27. And Nkunku seems to be the only attacking player that we have been linked with. Right? You're looking at stats from the game against Fulham and the amount of shots that both Højlund and Xerxes had. And do you want to know something this is filth. This is real filth. Højlund's only had 12 shots in the Premier League this season. I'm not talking goals. I'm literally just talking shots. Attempts on goal. 12. Boy, oh boy. And partly that's down to a lack of service. But Højlund is now directly involved in that lack of service. Because so many attacks are sort of breaking up because it's going to him in order to bring the ball up the pitch, but then it bounces off him and goes back towards our defence. Anyway, Nkunku, right? United has said that they're going to be considering a proposal for him on loan, but Nkunku arriving at Old Trafford on loan appears the only realistic prospect if United did decide to pursue one. Now, I want to put that down here in the poll, right? Would you want United to sign Nkunku on loan, on a 6-month loan, with no obligation? Yes or no? Look, okay, so I've just said that. You don't have to correct me on something I've literally just corrected myself on. There's no way that you can use a lack of service as a sort of sweeping statement for Rasmus Højlund anymore. The lack of service is directly contributed to by his lack of a first touch. If so many of our attacks don't break up because Højlund messes up the attack, he would get more service, right? Anybody trying to suggest, it's just a lack of service, that's the only reason, I'd be like, yeah, you're kind of ignoring everything that's kind of going on with him. But Nkunku, I think I've said this before, and I'll probably say it again. Beggars can't be choosers. This is a football club that signed Wout Weghorst on loan under Erik ten Hag in January because we needed an attacking boost. This is a club that signed... Who else did we sign on loan? Was it Igalo on loan under Solskjaer? Because we needed an attacking boost. I'd take Nkunku on a 6-month loan with no obligation. I don't really see how we can lose out on that. Could he be a sick note and sit on the bench? Yep. But he's leaving in 6 months anyway. So what does it matter? We need stopgaps. When it comes to the left wing back position, I think we're going to sign a permanent signing, whether that's Alvaro Fernandez or Patrick Dorgu. When it comes to the attackers, whether it was Kolo Muani, that was linked to a loan, that he's going to go Juventus, whether it's Christopher Nkunku. Was Cavani January? I don't think Cavani was January. Oh, was he? He might have been. Can't remember. No, I wouldn't take Pogba back. Already spoke about it at the start of the show. But I see the poll here, 400 votes, and 77% of you are saying yes, you would take Nkunku on a 6-month loan with no obligation. And so would I. Right now, the financial rooster. I deserve that one to stick because that made absolutely no sense. Yeah, I thought Cavani was right at the end of the summer, wasn't it? Was that where United made... Who was that? Was that United doing like 4 transfers in the space of like 6 hours on deadline day? I can't actually remember. I think it was. FTV saying, Sam, what would your ideal transfer window look like from this point? Signing Dorgu, Rashford leaving on loan, Casemiro leaving on loan, United signing one attacker, whether that's Nkunku, whether that's someone else. It's those 4. Those 4 transfers, 2 in, 2 out, I think puts United's squad in a stronger position. It's nowhere near perfect, but I think in the context of what we can do this this January, I think that's pretty much the best we can ask for. Now, I was going to speak about this lad a little bit later in the show, but we've already got the here we go from him earlier, so there's no point having a conversation there about Aiden Heaven. Now, this I think is an interesting one. This I think's Carl Anker from The Athletic here saying that Anthony's salary is actually much closer to 140 to 150 grand a week when United qualifies for the Champions League, rather than the 200 grand that gets circulated on Capology and other websites. And I thought that was an interesting talking point, because if it's 140 to 150k when United are in the Champions League, remember that United players get a 25% reduction when we're not in the Champions League. Take 25% off that. 140, 28, plus 7, 35, drops it down to around about 105 grand a week. Because when we saw that Real Betis were covering like 84% of Anthony's wages, we were like, hold up, how have United managed to do that? The reality is that Capology hasn't been reporting. And I do always say that when I have conversations around the wage structure and how much United players are on. I say you have to take what Capology report with a pinch of salt, because the truth is that so many wages, as they correctly should be, they're private. Your salaries are private. Your contracts are private. How much you earn is private. Now, assumptions can be made, but a suggestion here is that Anthony's salary was effectively half of what was being reported and has been reported the whole time. Now, I'm hoping that's the case with more other signings. I don't know whether that is, but I thought that was an interesting talking point. I'd love to be able to do a deep dive into that, but the truth is I would reach a brick wall because I wouldn't be able to get the information on it. But yeah, according to Carl Anker, Anthony's salary was far closer to the 100 grand than it was the 200 grand that was reported. I dreamt of Anthony this morning. You're having a go at me for weird dreams, and you're dreaming of Anthony. Right. What would you prefer to see today, right, as a lunchtime video? Would you rather see a sort of like a top level, this is who Aiden Heaven is, this is what people have said about him, and here's some clips of him playing for Arsenal? Or would you rather see a follow-up on the Jim Ratcliffe confrontation in and outside of the stadium, and the letter from Manchester United Supporters Trust on the situation and how it will basically get worse if you don't change your direction with the fans? What would you rather see? Eddie, Clarice, can you stop lying down there in the comments? In fact, you've actually lied there twice now, so I'm going to put you in a timeout. You go in the naughty corner, I'm going to give you a 24-hour timeout. You go in the corner and you think about what you've done. All right? You're on a naughty step. That's embarrassing, isn't it? So lots of you saying that you prefer heaven to hell down there. And you want both. Come on. I've got things to do today. Right. I'll see if I can get that done now. Probably the heaven video will be a little bit delayed because the intro won't be made. I might still do the Ratcliffe video tomorrow, though, because I think it's a really important conversation. But yeah, we've got a signing here, so I'll do a video on Aiden Heaven. But that is it for sort of the roundup. I'm going to have to update the transfer whiteboards now later on. Because, yeah, we've got a completed signing. I don't know whether he's going to come into the first team. According to Finn from Academy Scoop, he will. We'll have a quick look. Thank you all for tuning in. It felt like that was quite a calm and measured show, really, compared to yesterday. Whew. We've definitely got a busy 6 days coming up. That won't be the only here we go we get. I hope we get 3 or 4 more in terms of players leaving and players coming in. If you can, please do drop a like on the video. And if you can, please go and listen to the podcast on Spotify or just leave a little 5-star review. It makes a big, big difference. All right. I'll bring you a video on Aiden Heaven this lunchtime. You can give that a cheeky watch if you want. I'll be back here tomorrow morning. And maybe I'll do the Ratcliffe video tomorrow. We'll see. Take it easy, everyone.